Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM. Affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Jubilee Radio and Sun City Radio in Keta, Saboba FM in Saboba, and A1 Radio in Bogatanga. We are live on Twitter Spaces. We are on Facebook. We are on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes, HDPE pipes, and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, the Pharmacy Council shuts down a pharmacy shop for administering wrong drugs, leading to the death of a 5-year-old boy in Kumasi.
After using our monitoring tool and checklists, because facility did not conform to standards and they laid down practice regulations, we had to close down the facility.
Stay with us for more on this horrifying story as further investigations get underway. Also, vote buying, overnight projects, and the alleged persecution of James Jachikwesin cited as the key factors in the Asin North by-election, which concluded 2 weeks ago. We have details from the latest Global Info Analytics exit polling data. Also coming up,
once again to elect.
We'll get to hear from the former Chief Justice Georgina Theodore Wood, who's been looking ahead to next year's elections with hope that it will be about policies and development and not propaganda. Meanwhile, former President John Mahama has slammed government over its implementation of what he describes as poorly conceived social intervention programs that has brought more suffering instead of its promised relief to the people.
But of course, we all know that the MPP lacks prioritization, because I dare say that the money that was spent in buying votes and building ad hoc roads in Kumawu and Asin North could have cleared all the arrears of the NAPCO trainees.
We have sports.
We'll bring you the key highlights of the ongoing 29th GFA Congress.
Also later.
Our continent for a long time was not allocating resources, alongside its own priority. There was a lot of intent talked about, desires talked about, but not matching those desires with the resource envelope.
We'll get to hear the call by new Zambian president to his colleague African leaders as he mobilizes them to work towards the prosperity of the continent. That and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I am Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for staying with us. Now let's start from the Ashanti region, where a 5-year-old boy has died because he was given wrong medication by a pharmacy there following a dog bite. Life Dream Pharmacy at Kenyase Ejumamam in the Kwabre East Municipality is said to have administered tetanus vaccine, painkillers and vitamin C instead of the life-saving anti-rabies vaccine. Regional manager of the Pharmacy Council, Manager Benjamin Kwating Frimpong, led the operation to shut down the facility as investigations get underway.
A child who had been bitten by a dog was rushed to Life Dream Pharmacy in Kenyase. The attendant administered ATS injection and gave out a pain reliever, an immune booster, and an antibiotic, and told them to go and administer the medications as she has prescribed. Once they go by what has been prescribed, there is no need to seek further medical intervention. So the parents adhered to what was told them, but unfortunately after just about 1 month and 3 days after the incident, the child passed on. So when we received the letter on July 5, 2023, we decided to visit the premises, and when we got to the premises, we realized that things were not up to standard as prescribed. So after using our monitoring tool and checklists, because the facility did not conform to standards and they laid down practice regulations, we had to close down the facility. So we will forward our report to the head office, and for that matter the disciplinary committee, for further investigation and disciplinary action if need be.
Well, that's the regional manager of the Pharmacy Council, Benjamin Kwarteng Frimpong there, bringing you more on this particular incident in the Ashanti region. My former president and flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has descended heavily on the government over its implementation of what he describes as poorly conceived social intervention programs that has brought more suffering instead of its promised relief to the people. He's been speaking at the Alumni Connect of the Tertiary Education Institutions Network KNUST chapter over the weekend.
Daily price increases, unending fuel price adjustments, an extremely weak currency, general incompetence, corruption, arrogance, and insensitive leadership, and criminal waste of scarce resources have made our dear country a living hell for the generality of Ghanaians. The NPP government's response has been the adoption of short-sighted and ad hoc, poorly conceived programs that have done more harm than good. NAPCO trainees have been abandoned and are owed many months of salary arrears. But of course, we all know that the NPP lacks prioritization, because I dare say that the money that was spent in buying votes and building ad hoc roads in Kumawu and Asin North could have cleared all the arrears of the NAPCO trainees and also cleared the arrears of the buffer stock food suppliers. But unfortunately, their priorities are different.
Former President John Dramani Mahama. Now, we know that a new polling data from Global Info Analytics has shown that Asin North MP James Jachikwason benefited massively from claims that he was being persecuted by government. According to the research by the polling organization, despite both parties engaging in vote buying, most of the electorates voted for James Jachikwason, including those who had been induced by the governing NPP. Joy News editor Fred Smith joins me in studio with details of this exit polls conducted by Global Info Analytics. So Fred, first, did the last minute projects initiated by the government affect the electorate in terms of how they voted?
Well, 37% of Asin North voters said the overnight project made them vote for the government, while 46% said it made them vote against the government, with further 17% saying it did not influence their vote.
So what about the issue of vote buying? How did that affect the outcome of the election?
Well, on the question of whether votes witnessed in any incidents of vote buying, such as cash, farm tools, bicycles, motorbikes, 96% of voters said yes, they witnessed it, while 4% did not. On whether voters had personally benefited from such inducements during the campaign or election day, 92% said yes, they got some of the inducements, whilst 8% said they did not. 72% of voters said they received inducements from both the NPP and NDC, while 15% said they received theirs from the NPP and 13% said they got it from the NDC. However, the poll shows that of those voters who received inducements from both the NPP and NDC, 61% voted for James Jachikwason and 39% voted for Charles Opoku of the NPP. And for the voters who received inducement from the NDC, 73% voted for Jachikwason, whilst 29% of those voted for Charles Opoku. But for those who got their inducement from the NPP, only 58% voted for Charles Opoku, while 42% voted for James Jachikwason.
Now, finally, ahead of the election, there was a big issue about whether or not Jachikwason is being persecuted. That helped the NDC candidate. Tell us more.
Well, the poll also shows that voters who thought the government was persecuting Jachikwason, 94% voted for Jachikwason, whilst 6% voted for Charles Opoku. And for those who did not like the level of vote buying in the constituency, 81% voted for James Jachikwason, while 18% voted for Charles.
Thank you very much. That's Joy News editor Fred Smith with details from that exit poll from Global Info Analytics that had earlier mentioned that Charles Opoku of the NPP was going to win the Asin North by-election. Now, General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Kwete, is asking state institutions, including the Supreme Court and Electoral Commission, to take a cue from the Asin North electorate and reject attempts by the Akufo-Addo administration to compromise them in the discharge of their mandate. Speaking at a Thanksgiving rally in the constituency, he said the government must be made to acknowledge that the people's will cannot be monetized.
Tell the MPP that you will not sell your soul and see your constituency go down. That is the message that Ghana needs to hear. It's a message the Electoral Commission must hear. Don't sell your soul and let the nation go down. It's a message the Supreme Court must hear. Don't sell your soul and let the nation go down.
On his part, Asin North MP James Jachikwesin decried the blatant display of vote buying in an attempt to subvert the will of the people.
I will not weep anymore. Because of the overwhelming support he showed me at the just ended by-elections. They sought to subvert the will of the people with money.
That's the Asin North MP James Jachikwesin. Now, former Chief Justice Georgina Theodore Wood has decried propaganda in Ghana's political space, warning it is taking away the interest of so many. Speaking at the investiture of a new district governor for Rotary's District 9104, the former head of the judiciary urged stakeholders to make the next election in 2024 about development and policies and not mindless propaganda.
Only a year hence, we will be preparing to go to the polls, once again to elect national leaders for this beautiful country. Do we wish to create hope for the future by channeling our energies and other resources to developmental issues, or is it going to be another unending trend of pure propaganda as usual? It bears emphasis that deliberate falsehoods, misinformation, and dishonesty have destroyed the reputation and homes of many. One painful truth is that in this country, there are some decent, hard-working men and women with integrity, drive, and initiative who would rather quietly stay in their little corners than venture into politics. On account of the reputational damage they fear, they may likely suffer if they did so. One important reason is that this new district and its leadership take off at a very critical time, a time this country faces serious financial challenges which have necessitated an IMF bailout.
Former Chief Justice Georgina Theodore Wood. Meanwhile, the new district governor of the Rotary District, David Osei Amankwa, tells Joy News Rotary will continue to impact the world and will not relent in its efforts to eradicate polio in the world.
Rotary is the most, I would say, in Ghana, certainly its record of impactful service to the community of Ghana is without comparison. One of the most predominant areas that Rotary is well known for is polio and polio immunization. Has spent over $2.5 billion on polio immunization and continues to spend. I think that this year you will feel the impact through effective public image seminars, webinars, and such that you'll be invited to get a full impact of what we've done.
I'll stay on issues relating to immunization and take you back to the Ashanti region where a 5-year-old boy died because he was given wrong medication by a pharmacy following a dog bite. Well, Life Dream Pharmacy at Kenyase in the Kwabri East municipality is said to have administered tetanus vaccine, painkillers and vitamin C instead of the life-saving anti-rabies. Let's bring in the regional manager of the Pharmacy Council, Benjamin Kwating Frimpong. Thank you so much for your time here on the Midday News. So first off, what exactly has been the explanation from this particular pharmacy as to why it failed to administer the rabies vaccine?
Your line is very faint. If you can repeat it.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Kwating?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I was asking about the explanation from the pharmacy as to why they failed to administer the anti-rabies vaccine to this 5-year-old boy.
I would say it was an administrative error because the qualified personnel, the pharmacist was not on the premises at the time the remedy was given out. It was an attendant who gave the instructions, so who administered the injection and gave a couple of drugs out to the caregiver, and also instructed that every necessary intervention has been effected. So there was no consultation with the pharmacist or the qualified personnel. So that's actually what happened.
So administrative error at least comes up in your preliminary findings, and I know that you've shut down this particular pharmacy. Beyond shutting down, we know that a 5-year-old boy's life has been lost in all this. What then happens beyond just the shutting down of this pharmacy shop?
So we have forwarded our report to the District Committee of the Pharmacy Council, and they have the powers of the High Court. So they will sit and look at it, whatever punishment that is seen fit will be administered to the proprietors of the pharmacy.
Well, this also
the professional involved, the pharmacist.
And what timelines are we looking at for all this to happen such that justice will be served?
Looking at the urgency of the matter, I believe in the next 2 weeks, something will come out.
Well, it also raises the issue about what may be happening elsewhere on the blind side of the Pharmacy Council. Are there any interim measures that you're putting in place to ensure that pharmacies do not administer wrong drugs to people that walk in there unsuspecting?
Yeah, we are putting out a hotline number where we encourage the general public to put in complaints and reports such incidents to us. And also, we are also looking at collaboration with the municipal and other district health directors to assist because of the numbers. There is a challenge so that they can also inform us when such things happen.
Well, Mr. Kwate, once you position yourself properly, may I ask, at least for those of us who go to the pharmacy, at least even the prescription, you cannot see what is written amongst others. What are we supposed to look out for when we are asking for certain drugs and others are given to us? How do we assert, in terms of what we are supposed to get from these pharmacy shops?
Once you enter a pharmacy, the first thing you have to do is to ask for the services of the pharmacy. So you have to demand. Because it's the presence or the expert advice of the pharmacist that makes the place a pharmacy. If the pharmacist was of duty or had been contacted, I don't think this administrative error would have occurred. So we should insist on seeing the qualified personnel of the pharmacy. Because if there is no pharmacist, just like any other pharmaceutical facility or chemicals over-the-counter medicine facility.
Okay, well, grateful. That's Mr. Benjamin Kwating from Pong. He's the Ashanti Regional Manager for the Pharmacy Council, where we're told that they've shut down a pharmacy for administering wrong drugs leading to the death of a 5-year-old boy in Kumasi. On that rather sad note, we take a quick break here on the Midday News, live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We own a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. The Midday News is sponsored by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. We return with sports and then also the call by the new Zambian president to his colleague African leaders as he mobilizes them to work towards the prosperity of the continent.
Where we are now as a continent and as a globe, we know that we are behind schedule with a number of SDGs. We know that. It's a no-brainer to
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. No bath, no chop. Where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Haja, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor get water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank get meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying with us. It's time for sports. Mubarak.
Yes, Emefa, the 29th Ghana Football Association Congress is still ongoing in Kumasi at the Great Hall of KNUST, and the President, Ketu Kreku, has touched on many related sports issues, and my colleague, Delale Atiasi, was there and has the latest.
He announced that, the previous innovations and interventions from the FA is going to continue, including the absorbing of referee fees, the arrangement of STC bus services for the referees, footballs to clubs and football booths as well. And he also announced that this innovation will be extended to both the Division 1 and Division 2 clubs as well as women's football. And he has also announced that each Premier League club is expected to own a coast club before the start of the next football season. And in regards to this, he has announced a 50,000 Ghana cedis for each Premier League club towards this particular project. And he also announced that 25,000 Ghana cedis will be awarded for clubs who are going to feature 2 coast football clubs in at least 15 league matches in the next season. Juvenile football will now be known as coast football. And then he also went on to say, or to announce, that all Regional Football Association chairmen are going to receive a monthly allowance, a monthly salary of 4,000 Ghana cedis, and the vice chairman are going to receive 1,500 Ghana cedis. Now, one major highlight in the ongoing Congress is the fact that Congress has now confirmed the suspension of Ashanti Gold from Ghana football.
Now, we have more from the Congress on the Joy News channel at 2 p.m. Back to you, Emefa.
And then we know that a whistleblower has just sent a petition to FIFA.
Yeah, and Kate has reacted to that as well. So,
Okay.
we'll bring the latest at 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you very much, Mubaraka, with the latest from the world of sports. Now, residents of Waja and motorists who use the Accra-Takoradi Highway are angry about the seeming lack of action by city authorities to immediately stop the perennial flooding of sections of the road. Anytime it rains, parts of the major highway which links Cape Coast, Takoradi and neighbouring La Côte d'Ivoire become unmotorable as it is covered with rainwater and sand washed down from the hills in the area. Maxwell Agbagba has today's edition of our Flats of Trauma series.
It is just minutes after torrential rains here in the Greater Accra region. The usual chaotic scene is back on the Waja Atala section in the area close to the toll booth on the Accra-Takoradi Highway. Parts of the road is flooded again. Here, I've met a truck driver, Issa Halidu. He slept in his car overnight after his truck got stuck in the silt on the road.
Park small and wait. After 30 minutes, just turn up.
The issue is a big one, but as I'm saying...
I have now met a concerned resident, Nana Kwesi Jana Pentin. He's always on the edge anytime he's not at home and there are signs of rain. He's befuddled how a major road like the Accra-Takoradi Highway will be left to get flooded anytime it rains without any intervention from city authorities.
This road that we are talking about serves as the entry point to Central Region, of course, to the Western Region, and of course to Côte d'Ivoire and beyond. And a lot of the economic wealth of this country passes through here to Takoradi Harbour and all other places. But also remember tourism. We've made the Central Region for now the hub of our tourist industry, especially because of the castles and all that. And you do that and still people can't have access and go there. If we don't do anything about it, there will be a complete cut off.
Nana is not the only person concerned about the situation. Stephen Odum's pharmacy is very close to the highway and says the flooding of the area is an age-old problem.
I've been here for about 13 years and the problem was there since, and nothing has so far been done about it. So we have to make sure that our staffs are on tables and stuff like that, so that when we are not here and it rains, it doesn't damage stuff.
Municipal Roads Engineer for the Gassaut Municipal Assembly, Daniel Sowa, says the perennial flooding and dumping of silt on the Waja Tala section and the area close to the Waja toll booth go beyond the assembly, and that the Municipal Assembly cannot be blamed.
Today, as I'm talking to you right now, the issue is like the Municipal Assembly has given permit for people to build over there. There's no build when you go up there. You saw there's some building down there, but those ones, there's none of them that can say that they have permit to build over there. They are all living there, illegally. But you realize that the situation is so big that it goes beyond the assembly. The assembly doesn't have the resources to get those works done.
That's our Flats of Trauma series put together by my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. Now, God would deal with all persons engaged in illegal mining activities that is destroying forests, water bodies, and the environment in general. That's the call from the former chairman of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. He says no individual participating in galamsey and other activities that degrade the environment will be spared God's punishment. Love FM's Anabwachi Yadom has more from the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship Township to mark its 40th anniversary.
Professor Frimpong Boateng has in recent times been vilified and commended for his report on the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, which names some politicians and influential persons for their alleged involvement in Galamsey. Addressing the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship in Kumasi, the former Minister of Environment used scriptures to drum home his campaign for the protection of the environment.
When we are destroying our environment, you see, we are not alone. All the other creatures of God are very important. God created us so that we take care of them. There are many cattle as well in Ghana. So we have bears that take care of the dead animals so that we don't get sick. Vultures and so on. When was the last time you saw a vulture? Because if you attack, vultures need tall trees, and these animals and these bears. If you destroy their habitat, if you destroy their food, source of water, they will die. Imagine us. If somebody comes here, he's more powerful than us, he bulldozes our houses, takes away our water, our food. What will happen to us? So we are supposed to take care of these things, and we are messing up God's thing, and we think we are smart. God is not happy with that. If you look at the book of Revelations 11 verse 18, the nations are angry because your wrath have come. The time has come for you to punish the dead and to reward your servants, the prophets, the saints who revere your name. And the last line is, and to punish those who destroy the earth.
Professor Frimpong Boateng says Christians should be ready to speak the truth and face the consequences.
That's Nana Boakye Dankwa Adams' report. Now, the fate of 10 aspirants in the governing NPP flag bearer race will be known today when the vetting committee presents its report to the National Council. We know that the spokesperson for the vetting committee, Ose Bonsu Amwa Obiamwa, says an aspirant who will be disqualified has the right to file an appeal at the National Appeals Committee before the process continues.
We've spent the days here since Monday. Thankfully, we have concluded on our assignment when we managed to vet the 10th person who has applied to be a presidential aspirant and a candidate for the party. By Monday, we should submit our report, and if any person has been disqualified, he has the right to appeal to the National Appeals Committee before the process continues. It was decorous, respected the committee, and answered our questions. We've had no occasion to say that anybody has misconducted himself. Even when the person thought probably the question was unexpected, they've answered the questions to our satisfaction. And they themselves are aware that the rules and regulations require that they appear before us and perform their duty as required by the Constitution.
And the party is expected to open nominations for orphan constituencies of the parliamentary elections tomorrow. And we're told that the cost of the forms is 3,000 and the additional 35,000 cedis when filing. We'll bring you details of that subsequently. Now, the new president of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, is urging his colleague African leaders to back their talk with action and necessary funding to help alleviate the suffering of the continent's people. Well, he has also reiterated the importance of technology in the development of the continent and keeping pace with a fast-developing world.
Where we are now as a continent and as a globe, we know that we are behind schedule with a number of SDGs. We know that. It's a no-brainer to put it that way. So, but I think the important thing is to get on with the job so that when because 2030 is a number we decided as a global community, the UN and everyone else. So when we hit that number, 2030, we will have made progress. That's one. Because we're here already. We can't go backwards. So we just have to get the job done now. Secondly, I do believe that technology, applying the latest technology and associated investments would allow us to leapfrog.
Now, ranking member on Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, Bernard Ahiafo, is fighting claims that the current anti-gay bill before Parliament is unconstitutional. There are currently several suits against the bill, particularly citing a lack of a financial impact analysis as envisaged by the Constitution. Speaking on the probe, Bernard Ahiafo said the claims are misplaced and will not stand any constitutional muster.
Financial implications, of course. That is not what is meant by Article 108.
Your public
Even
hearings,
members of Parliament are paid.
Members
of Parliament are paid by a consolidated fund, but that is not, and that cannot amount to the bill making provision for imposition of a tax or affecting a consolidated fund.
Now let's focus on the National Science and Maths Quiz and a remarkable triumph, the GSTS, that the Ghana Secondary Technical School emerges as a victor in the Western Zonal Regional Championship, clinching their first ever regional title. Michael Ashale has more.
The region was set for a nerve-wracking grand finale. One-time winners Archbishop Porter girls were lost in the contest as they placed third.
Lina. 25.9 meters per second. That is incorrect.
It was Ghana Secondary Technical School who sailed through without a fight.
Archbishop Porter Girls Senior High School had 21 points. And Vijay Senior High School, they got 28 points. And the Giants of the West Side, ESTS wins with 34 points.
For the first time, they truly stand tall as giants in the central region above everyone else.
What should we expect from GSTS? Nothing but the best.
And that's it for the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM, also on Love 99.5 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. I am Emefa. Apawu, many thanks for your company. Have a good afternoon.